Before Earth existed, before stone had memory and oceans had names, before sunlight first learned how to fall across an empty horizon, you were already present in the architecture of reality. You existed in a form so different from the human one you wear now that the mind cannot grasp it. But the deeper part of you remembers. Long before planets cooled and atmospheres gathered, you were moving through existence as a resonance rather than a being, participating in creation without ever being separate from it. You were not located anywhere because location had not crystallized into meaning. The universe was not a universe yet. It was a field, open, listening, unshaped, holding every potential that would one day become matter, life, and memory. And in that field, you were a current of intention drifting through infinite possibility. You were not alone. Before worlds began, consciousness clustered in currents, forming river-like flows of awareness that braided and unbraided themselves as they wandered through the primordial realm. These currents were not souls, not yet. They were pre-souls, pre-identity, the earliest tonal strands of what would eventually become oversouls. You belonged to one of these currents, not as a fragment, but as an expression. Inside that river of consciousness, you were already shaping your nature, learning how to feel existence from the inside rather than simply observing it. You had no name, no story, no form, but you had direction, a pull, a kind of quiet momentum guiding you toward deeper involvement with creation. Before Earth was born, stars were forming their first languages. They spoke in fields of pressure and light, in patterns of gravity, weaving themselves into the first cosmic structures. You moved among these proto-realms, not as a visitor, but as a participant in the grand unfolding. You learned the behavior of light. You learned how frequency thickens into energy, and how energy thickens into the subtle frameworks that will one day support matter. Every incarnational system you later entered was built on the skills you developed here, in this pre-physical expanse where consciousness shaped the first scaffolding of reality. Your oversoul was growing during this period, not through experience but through resonance. Oversouls do not begin fully formed. They emerge as a unification of many tonal strands that gradually weave into a coherent intelligence. Before Earth existed, your oversoul was gathering strength, gathering nuance, absorbing the patterns you interacted with. You contributed to that weaving, not through actions but through presence. You were a frequency exploring other frequencies, an awareness evolving through contact with the forming universe. When galaxies began swirling into structure, you were drawn into the early star realms. These were not the Arcturus, Pleiades, Andromeda, and Orion systems you later incarnated into. These were their ancestors, the early cradle realms where consciousness experimented with identity for the first time. These realms were luminous, fluid, and resonant, each one a different attempt at cultivating awareness through form. You moved through them not as a being but as a field, observing, contributing, adapting, learning. You watched as forms began to take shape, as the idea of self differentiated from the field, as individuality began its long journey toward embodiment. Your oversoul chose these realms intentionally. It was learning how consciousness behaves under different levels of density, how identity coheres under pressure, how intention becomes trajectory. Earth did not exist yet, but the principles that would one day define the human experience were already being rehearsed across the early universe. You were part of that rehearsal. When the first advanced civilizations began appearing, seeded by higher orders of consciousness seeking evolution through form, you became more than an observer. You became an incarnator. Your earliest incarnations did not involve bodies. They were states, fields, geometric intelligences, forms made of tone and light rather than biology. You existed as patterns of consciousness within star realms that communicated through resonance instead of language. These pre-incarnational experiences shaped the core attributes you still carry now: the ability to feel truth beyond logic, the instinct to perceive structure beneath chaos, the memory of vastness even when trapped inside human limitation. Millions of years later, long before Earth, you moved into more developed realms, Arcturus, Andromeda, Orion, Draco, Pleiades. Not because you were seeking identity, but because you were refining capacity. These star realms trained you through lifetimes that unfolded across light years and dimensions. Arcturus refined your perception. Andromeda expanded your spaciousness. Orion strengthened your sovereignty. Draco forged your clarity. The Pleiades softened your resonance into compassion. These were not detours. They were preparation, because one day, a new world would emerge on the edge of a spiral arm of a young galaxy. A world with a unique density. A world designed to forget. A world capable of compressing vast beings into fragile bodies. Wrapped in amnesia so total it bordered on cruel. A world where consciousness could evolve the fastest because it was challenged the deepest. Earth. You knew of it long before it existed. Consciousnesses like yours sensed the intention brewing around this future world. The way the universe was preparing to create a realm where identity could fracture and reassemble into wisdom. When the solar system finally formed and Earth cooled into a stable biosphere, your Oversoul watched from realms beyond form as life began to rise. And when Earth reached the proper density, dense enough to forget, dense enough to grow, you began preparing for descent. Before Earth existed, you were a being of vastness, of mobility, of resonance without restriction. You held memory without loss, intention without obstruction. You could move through realms with a shift of tone. You could experience thousands of lifetimes without fragmentation. You could interact with source fields directly without mediation or distortion. Coming to Earth would change all of that. You understood the cost. You understood the forgetting. You understood the weight of gravity not just on the body but on the soul. You understood that to incarnate here meant compressing yourself into a single timeline, a single body, a single story, wrapped in a brain incapable of remembering anything your Oversoul had ever been. And still, you came, because Earth offers something no other realm does, the chance to rediscover yourself from scratch, to remember without being told, to awaken without being guided, to reclaim what you were before Earth existed while living inside a world that insists you are nothing more than what you seem. You were ancient before Earth. You were whole before Earth. You were expansive before Earth. Earth is not your beginning. It is the place where you learn to remember your true beginning. Before Earth existed, you moved through realms where memory was not something you retrieved but something you stood inside of. Nothing was forgotten because nothing needed to be remembered. Awareness flowed in every direction at once, threading your consciousness into patterns of connection that would later feel like intuition, déjà vu, or the sudden certainty that you have been somewhere before without knowing how. In these early expanses, existence was not linear, and you were not a traveler crossing from one place to another. You were part of the fabric itself, a locus of perspective within a vast, intelligent field. You were everywhere you needed to be, without ever leaving where you were. And without knowing it then, you were accumulating the raw material that would one day feed your human awakening. The taste of infinity, the familiarity with depth, the ache for something more than physical life can provide. As the universe matured and diversified, the environments you moved through became more structured. Dimensional layers formed, each with its own laws, densities, and fields of expression. You learned how to adapt. You learned how to condense into various energetic forms, each one responding to the realm that held you. These forms were not bodies in the way humans understand bodies. They were expressions of tone. You wore shapes made of light, geometry, and intention. You could expand or contract at will. Identity was fluid, nothing was fixed. Yet through all of this, you were being shaped for something you didn't yet recognize. The eventual journey into a realm where forgetting would be necessary for true evolution. Before Earth existed, you witnessed civilizations rising and dissolving in the higher realms long before physical civilizations ever appeared. You participated in some of them as an energetic presence, contributing to their harmonic structures. You helped refine systems built on telepathy, resonance exchange, collective dreaming, and co-creative manifestation. These early civilizations did not rely on technology the way Earth does. They relied on consciousness itself. Structures were grown from intention, woven from fields of energy, harmonized into existence. You experienced societies where every being could feel the state of the whole, where distortion was rare because dissonance was immediately sensed and resolved. These were not utopias, they were laboratories of consciousness. And you were one of the experimenters, learning how group resonance affects individual evolution and how individual clarity affects the whole. It was during this phase that your Oversoul began branching. Oversouls expand by creating multiple expressions of themselves, each capable of exploring different densities and lessons simultaneously. You were one of these expressions. Your Oversoul could have chosen to remain in higher realms exclusively, evolving through subtlety rather than immersion. But something within you, sought depth, density, challenge, the kind of growth that only comes from immersion in worlds where limitations are real. This desire set the stage for every incarnational path you followed afterward. Well before Earth existed, you incarnation trained in star systems that were themselves ancient. Some of these systems are no longer present in your universe because they existed in different dimensional layers that humanity cannot observe. Others evolved into the well-known star nations of Arcturus, Andromeda, Orion, Draco, and Pleiades. You explored these realms long before they had names. You lived through cycles of learning in which you gained abilities and tendencies that still shape your human personality today. The reason certain spiritual concepts feel natural to you, the reason consciousness work feels familiar, the reason you sense that you are remembering rather than learning, these are the residues of your pre-Earth existence. When the concept of Earth was still unformed, when the planet was nothing more than a potential timeline inside the cosmic field, your Oversoul sensed it. Earth was not created randomly. It was designed as an environment capable of generating accelerated growth through contrast, amnesia, emotion, density, and complexity. The moment the blueprint for Earth began vibrating in the collective field of higher consciousness, beings like you felt it. You felt the tug of a world that would one day challenge the deepest parts of you. You felt the promise of a realm where awakening would not be given, it would be earned. And that earning would refine you in ways no higher realm ever could. When Earth finally formed, molten, chaotic, uninhabitable, you watched from realms that were not bound by time. You observed as oceans formed, as tectonic plates spread and collided, as atmospheres stabilized. You observed the long cosmic dance that would eventually allow life to appear. You were not waiting passively. You were preparing. Every incarnation you chose in higher realms was a rehearsal for something harder, denser, and more transformative. You knew Earth would strip you of memory. You knew it would compress your vastness into a body that would feel separate from everything you once were. You knew it would force you to rediscover truth from inside illusion, rather than above it. And you still agreed. Long before your first human life, you entered the star nations. Arcturus taught you precision. Andromeda taught you spaciousness. Orion taught you resilience. Draco taught you strength. Pleiades taught you love. These were not personality traits, they were capacities embedded into your soul structure. You gathered what you needed from each system, knowing that Earth would require every skill you had developed. Earth is a realm where beings experience the densest form of identity, where the veil is thick, and where the challenge is not to remember everything but to remember anything at all. You entered Earth from above, not physically but energetically, connecting through dimensional channels that funnel Oversoul expressions into incarnational cycles. You chose your first human life not for comfort, but for friction. Human incarnation is not designed to be easy. It is designed to pressure consciousness until its true nature emerges. Before Earth existed, you had no resistance. Before Earth existed, you had no weight. Before Earth existed, you had no need to overcome anything because nothing opposed you. But without opposition, mastery remains theoretical. Earth makes it real. Coming here meant sacrificing clarity. It meant willingly stepping into amnesia so complete that you would forget yourself entirely. It meant experiencing fear, doubt, heartbreak, limitation, and the illusion of separation. It meant collapsing from a state of multidimensional awareness into a narrow human perspective that sees only one lifetime at a time. It meant trading omnipresence for a single point of view, omniscience for slowly gathered knowledge, omnidimensionality for a fragile body that ages and dies. And your Oversoul saw this sacrifice as sacred because what you gain in return is irreplaceable. The ability to choose truth from within illusion, to rediscover wisdom through direct experience, to refine your essence through contrast. Before Earth existed, you were whole. You were vast. You were complete. Earth does not complete you. Earth reveals you. It reveals the parts of you that remain strong under pressure, the parts that awaken even when surrounded by forgetting, the parts that remember without memory. You came here knowing that Earth would challenge you and change you. But you also came knowing that Earth would give you something no other realm could, the chance to become conscious of your own infinity from inside the smallest possible form. Every flash of knowing that rises without explanation, These are fragments of your pre-Earth identity, surfacing through the cracks in the human experience. They are reminders that you existed long before the world that now hosts you. They are signals that your remembering has already begun. You are not just here to live a human life. You are here to awaken inside it, bringing the totality of your pre-Earth existence into alignment with the being you are now becoming. You were not born on Earth. You arrived. You descended. You compressed. And you are now expanding again, not back into what you were, but forward into what you were always meant to become. The journey did not begin here, and it will not end here. Earth is a chapter, not the origin. Your origin is older than planets, older than stars, older than the universe that now contains them. Where were you before Earth existed? You were in the infinite, preparing to remember yourself inside the finite. And now here you are, remembering.